Hey everyone, we are back again with another episode of QTube. And today, and I'm really high energy, and there's a reason I'm really high energy because today we are joined by Eddie the Kid and Kisos. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
So, big release recently, Lunar Tide. Okay, so love the song, absolutely adore the song. Eddie, is this your song and Kiso you're featuring, right?
Mm-hmm. Like Eddie kicked it off for sure.
And then Kisos made the home run.
Yeah, so like basically I had texted Eddie once I heard This Isn't Love. I was like, "Oh my God, Eddie, we have to work together. Like this is amazing." And Eddie ghosted me on accident. I'm always gonna tell this story, Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie
It's gonna be in
ghosted
your new
me.
book.
Yeah, you're in my burn book too. This is my way of getting revenge by ruining his song. No, I'm just kidding. He ghosted me, and then like a month or something later, he was like, "Kisos, I would love you to be on a song," and I was like, "Oh, I reached out to you first a while ago." But yeah, then it was great. Like he sent me, whatever. Here's what he was thinking. Here was the theme, and then I just kind of hopped on it from there. But Eddie really like set the stage for me and made it easy, and was like, "Do this, do that," and I was like, "Okay." So
Yeah, and he did an amazing, great, fabulous job. You did really well. You
thank
ate
you,
it up,
Eddie.
you know?
Thank you.
I will say that because with This Is Love, This Isn't Love with you, Eddie. And I mean, I'm used to that style of pop, and I think like your last, like including this, there's been a big build here. And I'm assuming you're heading towards something. I just say that because it does seem to be kind of part and parcel of one another. Like they're all in the same kind of vein, but they keep kind of reaching up more and more. I will say that. But Kisos, I was really surprised because we're so used to Kisos in a different, almost in a different key in vocally in a way, but also a different style, and it's usually a little bit more less
Happy.
poppy. Well, no, but it's less poppy. It's more kind of more of a mid tempo for you, and your voice, of course, on those tracks work really so well. But we're not used to hearing you on a track like this, and the key change and everything like that is brilliant, and you sit really well in this style, like in that vocal range and in that style of music, that just that tempo. I was not that I would be surprised, but it was like overly pleasantly surprised that I was just like, wow, he so sits in this pocket really nicely.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, when I was really excited to, that was part of the reason I was so excited to do it too with Eddie. I was like, this is something that I would really love. And then when he sent it to me and I was like playing with it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. This is like high. This is like really whatever. And then like when we sent it back and I especially got to hear like Eddie's vocals and mine together, like in the final choruses and stuff. And then Eddie added in like his ad libs and just little touches here and there. I was like, oh my God, everyone, like, it was like we just kept sweeping each other up higher and higher into the atmosphere, into space.
Yes.
It does. It does soar. And like I said, Eddie, I'm a little bit more used to you kind of going in those dimensions, which you again also beautifully sit in. You have such a beautiful voice for pop music. Like you're
Hmm.
born for it. And so let's get to the guts of this. What's Tell us about the song, Mr. Kid. Tell us about this song and what it's about, where it came from.
That will be in my new book that comes out. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing. No, it's okay. So it's so funny because I always say that I like to write. I naturally just write sad, breakup, angry, moody pop songs. Like, writing happier songs is a little more out of my element for me. So like, I'll hear a song and it's very just like first thing that comes into mind. It's like, how are we gonna make this about like a breakup? How are we gonna make this about a relationship? How are we gonna make this sad and angsty? But pop, And so like really, there's no real particular experience that this drew from. It was more just like I heard the instrumental and it just the vibes that it gave me was very like astronomical, very not, just very, what's the word, zero gravity, very, very that. So like, I was like, I want to take this somewhere else and write a song. And, everyone talks about, needing space, but I was like, I'm going to make this a little more like on the nose, like needing space. So it was very much like, we're going to run with this idea and then just go with it. And honestly, I didn't know where it was going to go. I wasn't sure what the final, idea was going to burst into, but it came into fruition when I wrote that chorus with my friend Brendan. And then I said, I kind of want this to be a feature. And then I did it. And then we just ran with it.
I actually heard Eddie. I was talking to Brendan, who Eddie said like helped co-write the chorus, I think, maybe more of it too. But he told me that you started writing this song as an idea on a napkin in like 2017 or 2018 or something.
Yeah, it was like an idea. Okay, so like I've always said that I wanted to do like an EP that was like space themed, like but right now, as I'm kind of like slowly releasing music, I was like, I'm gonna do that on a smaller scale maybe and just do a single. And so that really, honestly, like, yeah, he we were in his apartment, we were watching like Charm School or something, I don't know. And
Classic TV.
And I was like, I have like this song that I want to like write about, but I'm not sure where I'm gonna go with it. And we just kind of, wrote that, and it was literally on a napkin. We just had like pizza, and I like the idea came to me, and I just like wrote it down, and then I put it in my back pocket. I was like, you know what, we're just gonna say that for later. That could be useful. We'll see if that, if that ever gets used, and it did. And
so did you literally pull out the napkin, or had you like written?
No, I eventually converted that into a note on my phone.
Okay.
Actually, the napkin was today.
I was just gonna say, so you weren't like walking around for like months and months and months with like this crumpled out napkin. And...
Yeah.
I had the napkin in a glass jar with a little hammer, and I was like, it was like break and in case of an emergency.
In case of pop emergency, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what, it's time.
I love it.
But yeah, so that's really where it came from, really, honestly. Nothing crazy, I guess.
It's a pretty fantastic song, and the word that came to mind when you were talking about space and stuff like that was a little interstellar. It does have that kind of magic to it where you do think of the stars, like space, and something that's a little bit otherworldly. It's a bit dreamy, where it kind of carries you away. Very dreamy. But added to that, and I think, Kisos kind of hit it on the nose, the combination of your vocals together, which I guess, could be seen as happy accident or just serendipity. It really works. And you don't often hear a lot of, and probably because we live in that world where men don't often get together and sing a pop song like this together because whatever. But, your voices work so well that even though we don't often hear it, I want to hear more of it. It feels so new that I'm like, we need more of this.
Yeah, I was kind of joking about that, but I was also serious. Like I did a tweet and it was something like Lady Gaga and Beyonce, Monica and Brandy. Like I was listing like some of the most iconic duets of all time. And then I said like, it's Kisos and Eddie the Kid, because it just felt like, when the pieces came together, it really felt more like a collab than a feature. And that's why I really wanted to like push this as one of my own songs too. And, really like put some of my like promotional weight behind it and time and all of that. Cause I was just like, this feels like us, like it's yours, but it's us. And it was perfect.
No. And speaking of like, you're right. Like, when I sent Kisos the track with my like rough skeleton of an idea with like the vocals that I recorded in like a minute, I was like, okay, here we go. It's kind of rough. It's a little crunchy,
that was a minute. It was good.
I was like, it's a little crunchy. Here you go. What do you think? And then he like came up with this awesome like pre-chorus, and I was like, yes. I was like, it's clicking. It's like, it just went very like, it's just very natural. And I think also when you hear like the first verse and the second verse, like where we're both singing separately, it's like, it sounds like my song, but then it also sounds like your song when you're on your part, because it's very, the way you're singing the words, it's very Kisos. So I'm like, but then when you hear it at the end of the song where we're both
Yeah.
coming together. It's like it just creates this big old atmosphere where it's like it just makes sense, you know. Like I don't know how it happened, but I'm glad that it did. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, when I heard This Isn't Love, I was like, I really want to be on this. But like you kind of said, Kenny, I think it was partly a happy accident. It was just like hearing it back, I was just like, whoa, that, we did it. We did
You're
it.
like, that's me.
That's me. That's Eddie. We sound amazing.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect when I first heard it. I knew what I would get from kind of both of you by yourselves. But
Right.
it's always trying to think of like, there's people where I've said it's like, oh, these two would make a fantastic collaboration because there's something that connects them automatically. And I wasn't sure what to get with what I would get with this, but like I said, it works so well. It's very radio friendly. If radio is watching, wake up. It's very radio friendly. It's very I think and I'm not good with fashion, so please excuse me. When they say fashion forward, that's kind of what I think about. It's kind of music forward for pop music in terms of this style of pop, that it really is at the forefront of going somewhere a little bit different, changing things up, not dramatically where all of a sudden you're bringing in orchestras or anything like that, but enough that it's kind of like, yeah, there is something, and I always use the word texture because I'm weird, and I think about things that way. But there is something really, there's something really engaging about it that feels new and fresh.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all you can ever hope to do with music. So thank you, Kenny.
Visual wise, I loved what you did with the purples and pinks and the, of course, with the ship and that kind of thing. It made me kind of salivate for a little bit of a video or that kind of thing, which would, be awesome. But obviously in this day and age and things like that, it's not always easy to do. Did you think about necessarily the visuals? Were the visuals on purpose? Were they your idea, Eddie? Kisos, were you part of that, or?
I knew, again, from like the idea that I had of making that space themed EP, I knew that I wanted, whether it was like the artwork of a single or the EP itself, I know that I wanted a rocket. Like, I just thought it was so cool. Like, I know we've seen it before, but it's like, I just thought like a rocket would be cool with like smoke, like nothing, like I didn't want like something with the moon or like the stars. I just wanted like something more more on that vein of like something dramatic, something taking off. Or I even thought about like a close up of the rocket with me in the window, like driving the like the like something kind of like a little more like cool like that. But I think I was sold more with the rocket taking off and like with the stars in the back, and I think it really added more to the layer of like, yeah, when you hear the song, it's I think, at least for me, I think of like space. So when you hear like that little electronic harp at the beginning, it just it sounds very, it feels right with the stars and like just very that kind of a visual, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got a little sense of outer space wonderland because of the color choices and just kind of how you weren't trying to make it literal, and that it was really light and fun. And I thought that was great.
Yeah, I was obsessed when I first saw that teaser video that Eddie made, because I didn't know that was happening. Like, I saw the single art and I was like, this is super cute. But then when I saw the video, I was like, oh my God, Eddie, I'm so excited. So yeah, I was like roped in too.
Yeah.
I just was speaking recently with Glass Battles, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with him as an artist, and he released his video for All Hearts, and it's also very much, but it's a little bit more literal, like with Mars or whatnot. And I got that kind of sense. I was just like, oh, something like that would be really, really, really cool. Where do you so reception wise? How has it been for you? Have you received the kind of the interest from it that you were looking for, and like how people have been responding to it?
For sure.
For me, I would say yes. Like you were saying earlier, like when you see it on paper, like an Eddie the Kid and Kisos song, it's like you raise an eyebrow, like, okay, how's this gonna come out? So when I released
I don't know if most people even knew that we like talked to each other either. So I think people were kind of like surprised. Continue.
For real. And so like when I reached out to him, and then we were going in that direction of getting the song going and like recording things and just kind of finishing and wrapping that up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. Like I can't wait for people to see and hear it, because it's very like, you're right, like you would never expect it. I think both vocally and like sonically from both of us. I think it's very like, yeah, it's pop, but it's also like when you throw Kisos in there, I think we just kind of bounced off of each other. So I am getting the reactions that I was expecting, which are all positive. It's all good feedback, but yeah, I was just mostly like, it's kind of like I was fangirling when this all was happening, and it's like I'm still fangirling. So like
I
I
am
just
too,
feel
though.
like I'm like, damn, like I really secured the bag, huh? Like I did that. So like really, even if no one really listened to it, or even if no one really wanted it, like the collaboration or the feature or the song itself, I'm just happy that I did it and released it. That we worked on it together and made it happen. But yeah, now it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, there was videos of Baby dancing to it. One of my friends made a like Sailor Moon edit to the video. One of my other friends did like a live, like a freestyle over the track that I'm gonna post later. Because there's been
Ooh.
so much stuff to post, and not necessarily like we haven't gotten any huge press, which I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But there's definitely been like the indie support and stuff coming in, and people wanting to hear about it and talk about it. So I've been really excited and grateful as usual. And the streams are going up, even though Spotify's trying to take a couple hundred away. It's fine. It's
They don't
fine.
want to see us succeed or something. I don't know.
Don't even get me started.
I know. Like, we'll stop it there.
What's kind of interesting too, from your different perspectives, is that Eddie, this is that you've had a few releases, and this kind of goes right in line with it in the past little bit, and then Kisos, you had the EP, and this is kind of like, so for Eddie, it's like, yeah, we're going harder and fuller out on this angle that we're moving towards and moving in. And then for you, Kisos, it's almost like a springboard. I've finished the EP. The EP is out, and now your first thing that you kind of really do after the EP is this. So it's like a real good switch for you. So it's kind of like a fantastic energy song for both of you. One propelling you on further, Eddie, to what it is, like to where your destination that you're heading to, and Kisos, it's like a new kind of direction. Even if you don't go in this direction,
Right.
it's kind of like I stopped. Now we're going this way, and you can veer again. But it's given you almost a little bit of a break from the EV.
Yeah. And I didn't mean for it to necessarily do that. I mean, I knew that working with Eddie would be unlike anything I had ever, been a part of before. I've been on, I think I've only ever done two other collaborations. One was one I started, and then another one I was on kind of more like an EDM type of like atmospheric thing, but it was very different. And yeah, but at the same time, I didn't realize how well it was going to fit in, I guess like message wise, like sound wise, totally different. But like when I saw the lyrics and I was like reading about, oh, it's like needing space. Oh, like, oh, I've been in this exact situation of like, someone needs space and you want to give them space, but you also don't want to give them space because then they might leave you forever. And I was like, this actually really fits in. But I did feel like, I was like, okay, I surprised people with perks on my EP. I think this is going to be a new surprise. I have another collab coming. I have a lot of like dominoes coming for the end of the year. So yeah, this was a great way to kick off the like new era, even if it's not necessarily like a sound that I'm going to continue. You know what I mean? So thanks, Eddie. I used you for that. I'm just kidding.
And Eddie, for you, and like I said, I keep talking as if you're going somewhere, because I feel like you must, in your mind, in your head, have a little bit of a destination or that you're going to, because these singles that you've had out are really, I don't know if I'm just picking up on a connection that's not there, or they feel very connected, like a natural progression. So I'm curious, without having to give too much away, where are you
Sure.
headed? Where are you going? Where's Eddie off to?
You know, I've never been really good at reading maps, so no, I'm
Ah!
playing. No, no, yeah, for sure. I think you're also headed in the right direction, also. But yes, I am working on something. I'm not gonna say what it is just yet, but I have two other things coming out later this year.
Things.
That I won't. I don't want to give too much away, but I think the next song is gonna be so like okay. So I released "This Isn't Love," and then I released "Lunar Tide," which kind of feels like it's piggybacking on "Lunar Tide," like its older sister, kind of like moody. Because sonically it's very pop, but I think it was just in two separate directions. And then this other song that I'm gonna be releasing soon. It's kind of different than the last two songs that I just released. But I think it's gonna do really, really well. Because it's like a complete 180 without losing the Eddie the Kid touch. And then yeah, and then something might be in the works for later next year, early part of next year. I don't really know. But I'm just gonna leave it at that, you know?
I think that's exciting. I think it's, you know, I think it's exciting when an artist gets to play, and I think independent artists right now are having a whole lot of fun out there because the rules are kind of gone in a sense. You know, we keep having this conversation about industry and restrictions and who's getting attention and why people are not getting attention, and that's just across the board, not even including the LGBT or queer community, because that's another you know, issue and monster altogether. But I think independent artists right now are really in a sweet spot where they just know that it's kind of like no one's going to do it for us, so we're going to take all the opportunities that we can to kind of just get in there, get it done. We're struggling as it is and trying to kind of make ends meet and get everything out there and get people to notice us. So we're going to make our own rules rather than worrying about what everybody else is kind of doing. So I think it's great that you're both playing in different like playgrounds and whatnot, saying hi to neighbor kids and that kind of thing, and then going back home. And
Yeah.
where? Oh, I was going to say. So for both of you, you've mentioned Spotify, and I guess coming back to that for a second, as artists and independent artists, and Kisos, you just went through it, but Eddie, you're moving, like I said, kind of moving towards something. Do you get into this? Do you feel pressure, I guess, to release more rapidly than you would, I guess, if we weren't in COVID and there was more opportunities, you were able to kind of get out there? Do you feel more pressure, I guess, to release faster?
I think if given the circumstances, if nothing, if it was just like we were just, you know, if it was like back in the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
I think that I would feel pressure to release more stuff just because for me, I wanted to do shows this year. Obviously, that kind of came to a slow stop, but if we were in a world where that was just not existent and you know, everything was back to normal, I would say yeah, I would feel the pressure because I want to release music that I can perform, and right now I only have like, you know, a certain, you know, number of songs out. So like as far as the show goes or like putting on, you know, something like that, I don't have a whole lot of material to use, and then probably throw some covers in there, but I don't have a whole lot that I would be performing to. So I feel like yes, if you know, if COVID was non-existent and that wasn't a thing to worry about, I would feel a little more pressure to release more material. But I think now I know a lot of people are releasing like singles and just kind of letting those marinate a little bit. And I like that because then it's like it holds you over and then it builds up that anticipation to their next release. So like I know for the people that I follow on Spotify, like they release a song here and there and I'm like, I hit follow and I'm like, all right, I'm ready for this next song to come. So like now as we're all kind of like learning, you know, or not learning, but we're discovering new artists, new talents. I don't feel super, you know, like I need to. It's more like I'm just gonna do it on my time and, you know, just see what happens.
Yeah,
But
I never. Oh, what
I don't know, but yeah, but no, I agree. Like, yeah, if COVID wasn't a thing, I would definitely feel a little more pressure.
I actually don't think I would, but that's because I'm like so behind in what I wanted to do. Like I wanted this EP to come out the one that came out in June, Sweet Nothings, out since June 30th, stream it. That I wanted it to come out in like March. So, and then I had ideas for like, okay, I'm gonna do this after like I already kind of had the things lined up and the year mapped out. So, and I have only really ever done like leading up to EPs. Like I did my first EP and then I was like, okay, let's write new stuff and that'll be my second EP. So I think for me, I'm really kind of enjoying that we're in this more nebulous time where everyone is being a little more like free with their releases. So I think that's why I don't feel as much pressure because I'm just kind of like, okay, I can, everything's up in the air and I can kind of just experiment, do whatever. I was saying the other day, I was like, I feel like I want to kind of release maybe some like more demos and stuff online and do less official releases of me just, completely doing my own production and stuff. Because for most of my, like all of my last music, I've had at least some sort of collaborator, but all of my first EP I did by myself. So I want to get back to it being like purely my voice and developing that more and then jump into some more collabs again.
Very cool. Um, what, and I come at this from more so to you, Kisos, but Eddie, of course, you probably have some insight into this as well. To kind of like backpedal a second to, former thing I said about how there is this industry gatekeeper, whatever was happening. I'm hoping we come out the other end of COVID and music has a little bit of a resurrection in terms of independent artists getting more attention, and we're not just focused in on the mainstream and whoever is shaking whatever. But I'm curious from a marketing standpoint, what Kisos, what you think is going to break it for, I guess, queer artists, and maybe I shouldn't be so focused, but obviously I am, because with the number of artists that I've come into contact with in such a short time, and the number I can actually name who have received attention or received some kind of platform, there is a huge discrepancy. And it has nothing to do with the music, in my opinion.
Right.
Who am I? But I'm just wondering, from a marketing standpoint, because you do a lot of marketing talks and that, do you see something that's missing or something that we need to kind of, a specific kind of wall to break down?
Here's the thing. I think a lot of the typical industry is really like fizzling out. Well, I guess it's that there's just like in a lot of, society nowadays, there's not really a middle class, but in music, it's like super extreme. You're either a huge artist or like an indie DIY person, and the press is just, they're only covering the top people. But even then, it like, Quarantine got covered by amazing press recently, and it didn't really move the needle at all. So I think the thing for indie Otists, girl, hey Otis, the thing for
Hey, Garfield.
oh my gosh, we're a couple. The the thing for indie artists to focus on for me is really just like their own types of branding, starting their own like little platforms. I know not everyone can do like live streaming on Twitch and stuff, but I recommend for everyone to just like start their own playlist, see if they can put together like a little show, even if it's pre-recorded, see if they can put together something, because that's how you reach a lot of new audiences nowadays. Like basically all of my following, like my recent following and the reason why I've started growing faster lately is because of Quarantine. And, I sent the Quarantine playlist to Channy Nicholas, who runs the Cosmic playlist, and then she put a bunch of those artists on her playlist, and then she put me on those playlists again. So it also goes to show that the more we uplift each other, the more that you will get rewarded, like karma is real, all that good stuff. So I wouldn't worry so much about finding a manager, finding a booking agent, finding any of those things, because who knows where society's going to be, even still a year from now. For me, the other biggest thing, if you feel like maybe you're more of like a mid-level of growth as an artist, like I feel, I don't feel like a small artist anymore, although, I'm definitely a small artist. But I think for me, the most important thing, instead of like finding any like a manager or whatever, was literally hiring an assistant for just a couple hours a week. has been huge for me to like really make quarantine look more professional, give me a little more time to work on music and do certain things and connect with artists, and that's freed up time for me. But I also am in a unique case where I don't have a 9 to 5. Like I do music marketing stuff, or now I make like almost all of my money from like live streaming and Patreon and things like that. So it really depends. As a 9 to 5 artist, I would just say, you know, keep investing in your music, but uh, talk to people who know how to do marketing just for tips for yourself instead of like hiring anyone. And other than that, just social media is such an important tool. Like literally just trying to make friends, posting dumb clips, funny clips. Like me and Eddie, obviously Eddie had that super professional like Lunar Tide video, but we were posting dumb stuff all week, you know, and I was posting it on release day and it was getting tons of shares and engagement. So I think that stuff is really important. Just making up dumb shareable stuff if you can't do anything else is probably like a big thing. What do you think, Eddie? What
Yeah.
have you noticed? Because you had like your first EP and then, you know, you have these new releases and there was a gap in between. So have you
Yeah.
noticed anything kind of change or things that you do different now?
I would say like definitely like for my first release, like my album or whatever, like a year ago to now, I would say honestly you're right. Like when a lot of artists come together and just kind of lift each other up and build a sense of community and like welcome other people, like listeners or artists, like I think that really draws in some attention because like for me, like I know you found Beauty Queen a year ago, and that opened a whole world for me because I didn't know this world even existed, you know. So getting to connect to like listeners and finding other artists that are doing the same thing that I'm doing made me feel like, oh, this is cool. Like I feel more at home. So like you do quarantine. So like I would say like connecting with people and not being just like this brand because everyone's like an influencer these days. Everyone is like, you know, that in that vein. So I feel like connecting with people and really just showing a little more of a human side, like you're right, like those little clips that we posted or like silly things like that, like really shows, you know, your personality. It shines through, you know, your character. Because I think when you're too, it's almost like if you're too fabricated or if you're too like type A, it's almost a little bit of a turnoff for me personally because it's like
Same.
it just can get a little old real quick. So like you know, seeing other people, like I said, doing the same thing that I'm doing, but adding their touch to it, I think gave it more of a personal touch to me as both an artist and a listener, and it made me want to follow them on their journey. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely I think that the community aspect does so much for so many, even to just give you confidence to keep going.
Yes.
There's this level, you know, there's you know, oh, I've made it, or the feeling that you've made it, you hit a certain level, but then there's like a level below that where you still aren't at that, but if you hit that level, there seems to be a paranoia that happens with some artists that, oh, well, now if I go back to that place with the, you know, with other artists that are there, maybe I'm saying that I'm, you know, not at this level, so they kind of distance themselves a bit,
Yes.
and make themselves a little bit less accessible, but yet they're still not. It's a weird kind of shelf of artists that are there, and no one in particular. I just happen to notice that at some point in time, some artists become a little less accessible and like a little bit out of reach, when
Hmm.
they've had a certain level, but they're still struggling.
Yeah, and I think all that does is honestly, it just hurts. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but from what I picture, and you know, I see people's professional posts and I see their personal posts too. A lot of people use Twitter, you know, they're venting, they're talking about their feelings, they're talking about being lonely, they're talking about these things, but then they're not engaging with people anymore, you know, because they're trying to keep this cool persona. And I'm always just like, I don't know how to help those people because I don't want to like reach out and be like, you changed, bro. But it's kind of a thing where, you know, I've seen people subtweeting each other. I'm like, oh, they're talking about this artist, how that person has like changed as after they've grown. And, you know, you can see people's perceptions of each other's change too. I think it's just like a whole negative cycle, which I think it's really important to talk about also the stories of like I've met people who, you know, a little bit ago didn't have that many listeners. They were feeling really dejected and rejected and all of that stuff, didn't really know where they were going in music. And then as they come into the community, as they start to ignore that like following follower ratio and start to just connect with people, they start to release better music. They release more consistently. It's better branded. They're happier. You don't see them complaining as much. They're like coming up with new ideas and doing all this fresh stuff. And that is, it just shows the power of like, attitude. And I think it also kind of depends on like where you live. Like I'm probably going to kind of expose myself a little bit, but I think when you just live in big cities, you're it sometimes puts you in that mindset of like you have to be a certain way because like LA, New York, they're those influencer cities where the famous people and the models and all that stuff is. And sometimes you really have to be like that to be able to fit in and like make friends. So I think it's all a mix of like trying to balance all of that out. Because even when you get really big, like I was just talking to a friend today who has like, you know, almost 200,000 monthly listeners. And he's like, I don't feel big. Like I'm still kind of struggling and stuff. So, yeah, just do what makes you happy. Don't put on a persona. That's what I'd say. Kind of like Eddie was saying too. Like if you're like super manicured, I'm not going to be interested.
No, and I think you're right. Also, just kind of bullet point on what you just said. Like, it's good. Like being in those cities. Like, yeah, it kind of like you step into that like role of like wanting to like push further, or like you know, it like feeds that drive of wanting to like be that artist that you know you can be. But I think also like it attitude is everything. Like who you talk to, who you know, what you're surrounding yourself with really kind of helps with like pushing yourself to really do it. You know, like I know like you're right, like LA and New York, it's like those big hubs of like everyone is just kind of like making music and just really doing it. And then you have me here in Texas. Like I don't really have that here, you know, like this isn't Austin. So like the music scene here is like completely different in Dallas, I guess, from these bigger cities. But like, you know, connecting with you or like some of these other artists or like even like working with other people on things that I don't even release, that helped me like kind of want to keep going. Because initially, like I've said it before in the past, but my album that first came out, that was gonna be it for me. I wasn't gonna keep making music. But then I like made these friends along that journey that I was like, wait, like this is I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna you know,
Wow, I didn't know
I'm not
that.
gonna get off the ride. Yeah. So I was like, I'm not gonna get off this ride. Like I don't think I'm ready yet. And now here I am with This Isn't Love, Lunar Tide, and like other things in the works. So like it really does help when you are surrounding yourself with people who are gonna lift you up or like push you to be the best you can be, you know?
Yeah, there's a definite positive energy when even if you know it's something that you're not even sure if you want, but if you're surrounded by people and you're in contact with people who are also just trying to figure it out, sometimes there's safety in numbers and there's like that kind of camaraderie that I think helps get you at least mentally to a sound place where you can kind of say, oh yeah, I enjoyed that, but actually what I really want to do is this, and you're okay with it rather than worrying too much about should you, shouldn't you, that kind of thing. I think that community aspect really helps with that.
Yeah, I think it's like literally like community, literally like support group, you know, like it's a word you say a lot, like not you personally. I just mean like community is often like it's so often said, but when you really think about the word community and what it means, and it's not as hard to build as it seems, especially when there's so many, like if you see a nice person on social media, they're nice to other people, they're gonna be nice to you. And it's just like you were saying, Kenny, like I have so many friends now that I know will support no matter what music I made. Like maybe they won't absolutely love it, but they would listen, they would give me feedback, and they would, you know, they would care at least. And I think that's the most important thing about community. Like that's why I will always be making music and will be doing tons of different random stuff and whatever I want because I know there's people supporting me now. And I didn't always feel that way. So
Kisos, for you, where are you headed? What's next for Captain K?
We got a lot. Lunar Tide, like I said, was like the beginning of some dominoes, snowball, whatever. So I have another collab coming sometime next month, most likely, called Call Me When You're Wasted with my friend Anna Wang. And then I just filmed the music video for He Didn't Want Me, which will probably come sometime after that. And we did a live session. And I have a collab with Zach Benson. I think that might come in like early 2021 though. And I've been writing some original music and yeah, so I said this at the beginning of the year, like this is the beginning of a lot for me. So we were a little delayed, but ever since June, you know, the cogs are back in motion. So stay tuned.
I think it's a good time to have those bumps
Mhm.
because you're not being as sidelined or derailed as much as you would be if they were. And if anything, you're padding yourself for anything else that may kind of come along.
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm stocked up. I got rations. I got
Yeah.
rations for the winter.
All right, I have a question that I've been asking a lot of people. So I'm going to ask you both, and it's a hard question. If you could steal another artist's song, any artist,
Mm.
any song, and make it your own, it was never theirs, it's yours. What song, what artist?
Oh my gosh.
What? Whoa.
I don't like to steal. I don't want to break any commandments. I need to think a moment.
You thought I was going to
hmm.
totally go for something like Celebrity Crush or something like that, didn't you?
I had honestly, I had no idea. I was like, Kenny could go anywhere. I'm like, let me pull up my playlist real quick and like see what I've really been obsessed with lately.
What have you
Hmm.
been listening to, Eddie? Like, that's a really interesting question for you. Like, who have you been listening to?
I have a playlist called Summer is Forever. And it's my jams that I've been listening to all summer long. I'll throw some different things in rotation. And I'm going to actually change it to something fall related as we're changing the seasons. But I've been listening to a lot of Gregory Dillon, as I'm sure is no surprise. Um, a lot of Gregory Dillon, a lot of DNCE. And, I mean, who else am I listening to? A lot of, why am I drawing a blank? Just a lot of that. Oh my gosh, I've been obsessed with Contact. Have,
By
do you
Moist
guys know them?
Breezy.
Yes, it's so good.
Her new mixtape's out tonight at midnight.
I know, yeah. Um, here we are giving her that plug. I don't know, just a lot of a lot of different genres. There's this artist who is like this Spanish pop star. Her name's Belinda, who I've been listening to again, and it's Loki has been making me want to do like Spanish music, like release maybe
Mm.
like This Isn't Love like in Spanish, um, and I don't know, we'll see, but a lot of that. Oh, and then this new artist I recently found, Maddie Anderson. He has a song called I believe Poem, and it's very 80s. So a lot of that.
Cool. What about you, Kisos?
Oh my God, I literally had it and then it disappeared. I don't know where it went. I like had it in my brain. I think it was like another kind of indie artist. So I don't know. But in terms of people I've been listening to, like a ton. I do a playlist every single week. So um, one of my faves lately, I have a friend named Saoirse. She released something really recently called, oh my God, I don't want to get the name wrong. Lie to You. I was like, is it never gonna lie to you? Called Lie to You. That's amazing. I have been obsessed with Moist Breezy for a while now. This Isn't Love by Eddie the Kid. Honestly, banger. I can't remember. I had this song in my head that I would steal, and then I lost it. I like went through my playlist, and I was like, I'm gonna find it. And then I was like, oh, it's this song, but I can't remember what it was, but honestly, I just love so many of the artists that I put on my playlist all the time. I loved Groupie by Elliot Jones. Maybe that one. I'll go with that because it's easy. It's right there. Like I was
Ooh, Groupie is a
obsessed
good
with that
one.
song when it came out, and I feel like it very much sounded like something I would do. So I'll
I
go
think we're
with
going to
that.
hear some new from Elliot quite soon.
I hope so. I'm ready.
Um, from the queer world, who's ticking your boxes?
Everyone.
Everyone. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, for me, again, I put on like mostly the people I'm sharing are queer artists. So Moist Breezy, Eddie, let me scroll through. Jackson's been killing it.
Jackson.
Lasay has such gorgeous videos. Wu Am I don't know if he's a little bit smaller, but his video for Supernova gave me such huge chills recently.
I dig Woo.
Yes, I'm always obsessed with Miss Eve. She's such a creative artist and does like all her own like video like props, and she's crazy. So many artists. Come to Quarantine every Sunday and you'll meet some more, everyone.
Anybody in particular for you, Eddie?
I think also going really back to the question before, I think if there was a song that I wish was mine, like if we could just reverse back time and then I released it, it would be Easier by Michael Medrano. I am obsessed with that song. It's so funny because I found him and then I like was obsessed with like Fluids and No More Tequila, and then I heard that song and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this is like we're stepping into some moody Michael Medrano, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I will say that Easier was the first thing I heard by Michael when he released it, because I had him on the podcast not long after that, and I've loved what he's done since, and he's really kind of grown as an artist and trying different things. But I think it is my favorite by him because it was at a time when he was just, I'm going to release this and hope people like it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then you pick up steam and you work at it. But it's so, yeah. It's such a baby song, but it's such a great baby song.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it aged well. Like you can hear it at any point in time, and it's just like, it just sounds fresh still. The production's amazing. His vocals are so good, very delicate, very sweet, but also very, very relatable. So I like that song. That would, if I could steal a song, that would be my pick.
There you go.
But as far as who I'm listening to a lot of so Gregory Dillon, Kisos, Jackson, Go String Mango, Carlos Vera. There's these two people that are actually from the Dallas area here, which I usually give them a shout out sometimes. Logan James and Clover the Girl. They're super talented. So yeah, definitely go check them out. They're close friends of mine. I've written with both of them, and they're both equally very talented.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, this has been fantastic. Like I said, I'm so excited for the business that is happening for this single. I hope that, and not no pressure, but I hope that you guys, you know, stay in touch, and maybe there'll be another little collab at some point in time, because I think it worked so well, and maybe it should only be one and done because of that. But I also think that the sound that you put into it just was so great that I think that if people haven't, you know, tuned into it yet, they need to get a check.
Get a check,
yeah.
and then send us the check. Send us money.
No. I don't think it'll be the last time you hear from both of us on a song. I'm just gonna say that. But yeah, no, it worked very well, and Kisos isn't gonna get rid of me anytime soon. So.
No, it's true. I love Eddie.
Oh my gosh, I like it.
Very good. Well, I'm going to return you back to your lives so that you can go make more music, and we can continue to have fantastic releases from both of you, because on your own, they've all been fantastic. Together as a release, it's been interstellar. But yeah, for those of you who are watching this, I don't know where they are on the screen I'm pointing to. One way in the purple background is Kisos, with all the frames behind him is Eddie the Kid. They are on Spotify, they are on Apple Music, they are on all the different socials, and you need to go check them out. Their own personal music, and also Lunar Tide, which is their collaboration and their new single. You need to go see it, share it, watch it, stream it, do all the things.
Get it from LimeWire.
Mhm.
On LimeWire, there we go. You need to go find it on LimeWire and Napster and MySpace, all the places.
Making your MySpace song,
Exactly. MySpace, Grinder, Tinder, eBay.
Bumble.
Bumble, there we go. Now we've hit that point in this conversation. But yeah, thank you for coming on, and thanks for being a part of this and letting me have a chat with you.
Thank you,
Thank
Kenny.
you for having us.
Everyone loves you, and you know it. Kisos, you definitely know it. And for those of you who are also watching, remember to tune in on Sunday afternoons for Queer and Teen, and stay for the show, and then afterwards for the after show with Kisos and Mr. Corey Stewart. Check that out as well, because that's where you're going to see some video. Video is still important, people. Keep
Amen.
watching video. Thank you, gentlemen. I now return you to your lives.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.